Welcome to a very good morning. I was on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Another fresh morning of a lot of analysis, a lot of conversation, and so really interesting things in terms of leagues, especially the Italian Serie A with Antonio Conte and then the Napoli team. And I think we need to start from there. What they've done, what Antonio Conte here or Napoli one is super footballer. You just can't go today without really listening to some of the stories of Antonio Conte. So only maybe Antonio Conte fanboys. I'll tell you some very really interesting stories of Antonio Conte and how he's one of the best coaches. So yeah, Chelsea now. You remember his days at Chelsea. And for me, that is why I fell in love with Antonio Conte as a manager, coming to Chelsea and the passion or the Enejuma on the touchline, in the press conference, everything about Antonio Conte, read somebody who was very much interested in succeeding. And if you read about him constantly, there are stories of how journalists tell of how Antonio Conte on that constantly is preparing, he's on it, working hard to get his team to be very successful. And that is how come Antonio Conte has gotten to where he has gotten to as a manager. I'll tell you more. I'm a Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. So subscribe to the channel. I'm sure subscribe to the channel. I'm turning on notification turn and I'm sure choose all. So that anytime your content ever drop, we'll have your first to have it here on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Again, so your investor last night. Big boom power. Big boom. I was on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. I catch you out here. It's your constant place of consistent winning. I mean, I see any just analysis now be enjoying what calling. In terms of analysis, this is the best place. It doesn't get any better than for me in terms of sports analysis. And again, for those of you who are investors, now we give you the codes in the description of the video or picking it up. You put them in the Betway app, and you go and stick. You make some very good money. And I think 8 odds, the 5 odds or so, Bumi and the boys were very excited. And then there are a lot of good games. I think say next year there. So it's made debate pie now. It's made debate pie and one of those things. And the team has worked on it. I'm shooting this video somewhere around 4 a.m. and after some work largely on the throughout the night. And we'll come back with you. The codes will be in the description of the video. 5 separate codes. 5 separate codes about the description of the video. Go and pick the codes up and then put them in the Betway app. Like could be or what I'm saying. One must still know who maybe a description or if you take a YouTube video, every day there's a description under when you have found one of the codes down, go and pick it and go and get a job. Or on Fiifi-Manfred, every social media handle, Fiifi-Manfred on Twitter, Fiifi-Manfred on Facebook, Fiifi-Manfred here on TikTok, everywhere you'll find Fiifi-Manfred codes no one of you go and pick it up and then go and stick something out or I said Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Now it's time. Let us talk about Antonio Conte and in the Serie A winning Napoli side. See, I think that time Antonio Conte free Inter Milan, no, or free Torian Mosper. Even for those of us here through and through Antonio Conte fanboys, now there was certain level of thoughts and ideas be say maybe that is the end for Antonio Conte at the top. Even I don't know for a lot of people, but for me, let me say at that point in time, maybe that's the end for Antonio Conte at the top. Because really, at that point in time, the job Antonio Conte was doing at Tottenham Hotspur, people felt that okay, fine, maybe he will bring them certain success. Antonio Conte has come in; he's a good manager. Bringing in, working alongside Fabio Paratici, formerly of Juventus. Bringing Rodrigo Bentancur, Dejan Kulusevski, a lot of these boys from the Italian Serie A who were not particularly performing. But they are very important players in the Tottenham Hotspur team in winning the Europa League. These are players that were at the helm of affairs in getting the job done for team and friend in Tottenham Hotspur. So at the time, we all believed, okay, fine, Antonio Conte is building something on Tottenham Hotspur. But the final press conference, Obeka, serious debacle, Oka said Tottenham Hotspur, a club, name your mom where your car doesn't show that they want to win anything now or if you want. For me, I felt okay, Conte has done too much. Maybe he will not be able to get back to the top. It's going to be hard for even any club to be able to try and employ a branch friend Antonio Conte and then bring him in to come and do something very monumental for them. But I mean, fast forward, it goes back to Italy. And I remember I read this very good article from Matt Law. Matt Law said Antonio Conte on Italy and or call Honor first thing who a cat. You saw a cat on the fee and Antonio Conte Baba and Antonio Conte Nigeria. I mean, he has just one child. And so occur another conversation, I mean, centered around football, how or no Antonio Conte would play when he comes back to management, um, why he's very superstitious, talk about death. I mean, very interesting stuff. And Antonio Conte didn't come on. I'll put the link to that article or the description of the video. Also, it's always so Kaya. You can open it up and read. It was such an interesting read, and let me see if I can read a few portions of it for you. And Matt Law spoke about Antonio Conte, the importance of Antonio Conte, and it enlightened him. It is inside interview, you know. I remember that I tweeted years ago that Antonio Conte saying when he returns from his sabbatical, I'll remember with a 4-3-3. And I was saying that, hey, how is Antonio Conte challenging himself to move from a three-back system that he's known to play into a 4-3-3 system? How is he going to do it? In that article, he spoke about the importance of the third midfielder being a box crusher. You know, usually in a 4-3-3, the third midfielder is a creator. But for him, he wants a combative midfielder, a deep line playmaker, and then a crusher. So, so actually this season Napoli, he had it in a brand here friend Scott McTominay. On and on, the main crusher of the box and created the most XGs, the most assists. I mean, Antonio Conte had Romelu Lukaku had the most assists. I mean, everything for brand here friend Scott McTominay. And if the forward of that article, Antonio Conte exclusive, it's not enough to just entertain. My teams have to win. So according to him, any entertainment in Kwano Bible, Uti Nkofan so football is about entertainment. People buy tickets for entertainment. He says that now, and not just entertainment. People get entertainment in winning. I say from his home in Turin, the Italian discusses Subbuteo style, his toughest moment, managing Chelsea and Tottenham in his first interview since leaving Spurs. Antonio Conte was midway through explaining the risks and reward of a high defensive line that has adopted by Premier League teams, including his former club Tottenham Hotspur, when he suggested we move into the study of his Turin home. There was a table there on the table was a Subbuteo pitch, which had two teams, one of which was older clubs Inter Milan and two set goalposts. Only the ball was missing. I have to put the ball away because of my cat, said Conte, as he retrieved it from the Subbuteo box in a cupboard. Otherwise, I lose it. When the son is in the room, she stays here, and there is an invasion from her. Then I have to clean everything up. She's a strong midfielder. Having initially assumed the pitch had been set up for my benefit, it transpired a 54-year-old Conte has used the Subbuteo ever since he moved into coaching, and still finds it useful tool to analyze the team's latest strengths and adapt to them the ideas while he's taking a break from coaching. You can reproduce some tactical situations, said Conte. In every club the coach I coached at, I brought a Subbuteo. Also, sometimes to explain the tactical situations to my players, I've always had one at my home. There was another surprise in the corner of the study, Simpson's pinball machine, which his wife, Elisabetha, and daughter Victoria bought for Conte during the lockdown. Once the interview had finished, Conte demonstrated skills in pinball wizardry, and the 16-year-old Victoria introduced herself with perfect English between returning from school and preparing for a swimming lesson. Elisabetta had already made us an espresso and told me I could leave my shoes on. She believes it is an English tradition to take them off in another person's home. You have carpets, no? Conte set up his old Chelsea Tottenham Hotspur with the Subbuteo pieces, pointing out which one was Victor Moses and Sang Yumin, while also demonstrating how a high defensive line can work and where they can fall down. So we could see a Conte team playing a high line in future. He said yes, he answered, but a high line means you must press a lot. You can bring your high line, your line high if there is a pressure on the ball. Otherwise, it's a big risk. Conte showed me a new tactical setup he would like to set up when he returns to work, which incorporated a four-man defense. This is where he spoke about the three-back, the 4-3-3, but insisted the three-back he employed in England with Chelsea and Spurs was not negative. People think it's a defensive system. This is not true. I repeat, it's not true, said Conte. You can see how many goals my team score every season. doesn't depend on three or four at the back. It depends on the way you build a team and way you build to attack. At the same time, it's not good to be too offensive and not too much defensive. You have to respect the characteristics of the players and adapt to them. My experience tells me that if you want to win the league or lift a trophy, you need to have a stable team. Last season, Manchester City was the best example of a team with a great balance defensively and then offensively. There is a cabinet that takes up the entire wall inside Conte's home, which houses his winners' medals and replica trophies from his playing and management career. On the wall hangs the frame certificate confirming his status as the Knight Order of Merit in the Italian Republic, a bit like Elton John explained Isabetta, to which I asked if we should have been referring to Conte as Sir Antonio all this time. Those trophies are big, big responsibilities because they stay here to remind you that, oh, look, you have to win, said Conte. You did this, and then you have to continue to do this. Conte spoke about a lot of things, and again, I'll put the link or the description of the video. You can pick it up and go and read about Antonio Conte and sign interview. No, yeah, it was the only interview he did before he came. Now super, and now his team was able to win the Italian Scudetto for the fifth time. For fourth time for Napoli, fifth time for him, Antonio Conte, as a manager. And I've said it several times. See, no team in the Italian Serie A winning the Scudetto no after coming 10th the season before. It doesn't happen. And Antonio Conte is the only one that can get Napoli to win that match. There is no manager in the world that will get a team to win the title anywhere in Europe unless Antonio Conte. I mean, my kind of several times the football management as a coach is on three legs: the tactical aspect, the leadership aspect, and then again somebody that understands diplomacy. And Antonio Conte is literally the king when it comes to getting people to follow him. At first it was Jose Mourinho, but as it stands, Antonio Conte has usurped him. He won the fifth title as manager and has now won Serie A in charge of three clubs: Juve, Inter, and then Napoli. He's a trophy machine, obviously. And I think I do agree with Marlo in saying that. And congratulations, and all of those boys, Frank Andre Zombo and Guisa, the likes of Scott McTominay, what he has been able to do, or Romelu Lukaku. I mean, it has been super for Antonio Conte. Picking them from 10th and then bringing them to win the the Italian Serie A has been super. In a season where Inter have been very, very good as well as a team, Antonio Conte in the mountain have done a brilliant job. So congratulations to them. Yeah, what we heard is that Barca for targets a friend in Jonathan Tah. Germany for one of Bayern for one have gotten a here we go for a Bantier friend Jonathan Tah. He's going to move from Leverkusen to team my friend FC. Bayern for Munich or Barca for one were able to do a deal for him. Or maybe by the time Ronald Araujo decided to stay with team my friend FC Barcelona, it was not going to be possible for him to stay, for him to move over there. Now, after say Enzo Maresca in a pre-match press conference, Nuno Espirito Santo at a press conference respecting Yami and watching a match with Chelsea and in Nottingham Forest. It's a big one, and discussions have gone on how they are going to play. There is one injury issue, however. Nuno Espirito Santo confirmed he said Murillo is still being assessed after injuring his ankle at West Ham and has not been able to train. Nottingham Forest manager players are on fire to play the game against Chelsea. So the message is to stick to the task, recognize the tough team to play against, and enjoy the game like we always do. That is Nuno Espirito Santo. I think it's a sad game over the weekend as a City ground. They're really interested. Really interested when it comes to how things are going to go. And I've said it several times that this summer, the things that Chelsea have to do, they just have to be very strategic. In terms of the purchases of Beto, I mean, I'm very confident that by Sunday, Chelsea will have a clear path as to who they want to bring in as striker. I think that maybe a Chelsea squad knows this year. They have almost everything, just a few more things. Centre back, I mean, left winger again, you can be more. If you spend well with a centre back or centre forward now, you can be more. You can do some engineering with the left winger now, and I think that Chelsea have to spend big on the centre forward, and I don't think they have to hold back. I don't think, and And I say this always, and I go back to Osimhen's story. Say, I mean, at the end of the day, Chelsea would have to get him. I understand the financial involvement in the deal for Victor Osimhen may be a little bit difficult, but things that Chelsea beat me are. So for this Chelsea squad, we only need to spend big on a striker and nothing more. Even if we don't buy a centre back, I wouldn't worry because I feel we have found a good balance to defend as a unit, and the centre backs are improving. Midfield is our best department. On the wings, we're Stavao. We have more options. A winger is a bonus, not a priority in my opinion. We really don't need major schedule personally. I don't want us to sign too many players because good players are returning from loan. That will improve the existing squad, which is improving the game, which is very, very important. Um, Very, very good one over there in terms of how things are going to go. Chelsea needs to be very, very strategic in terms of how they are going to sign more players, how they are going to play. It's very, very important that they get a job done in terms of the kind of players on person will sign and now Chelsea centre back player, Chelsea for I hear Mark said they want to probably go on and then bring on to Stamford Bridge Abante friend Gerard Braithwaite. Chelsea for are close to making sure so bit maybe a deal. And now Everton for Kukushia Chelsea for target. My brand friend Liam Delap. Everton have presented their project to Liam Delap in direct talks with manager David Moyes involved. Face-to-face talks took place this week as Chelsea and Man United remain keen on their Swiss striker. I mentioned the last time said Liam Delap a 30 million release clause, and the plan for Delap and Nepal and the entourage said they will meet everybody involved, everybody, every club be our this up Liam Delap. They'll meet you, they'll listen to your project, they'll do an assessment, they'll see if it fits them, then they'll make a choice in just a matter of time. Then now, this week Everton for Nakushano, David Moyes and Shano representing Everton for no budget. I mean the project into him, and of course Liam in the entourage, they've listened to it. They'll come back to him and do an assessment of when they are going to get a job done. I mean, possibly listen to them or not. Something that's very, very important over there in terms of Liam Delap moving to a club and finding a striker. And I know it's Chelsea money at the end of the once Abante friend Liam Delap, they would want to make sure that they finalize everything with Liam Delap and make sure that BBR come at their mom. Chelsea, as you remember, my Abante friend Moses Caicedo contract extension. Caicedo's camp, Chelsea are in talks with Moses Caicedo's camp over a new deal as they are very happy with his impact again this season. Negotiations have not started yet, and it will take some time as not urgent topic, but the club plans to give Moses Caicedo a new contract. Chelsea say, yeah, they will my Benta friend Moses Caicedo a new contract because they think that he deserves it. And or a player be a Chelsea for team man contract. And what we are hearing, and is a buying the forum have still come back and are asking about our branch friend Christopher Nkunku. Christopher Nkunku's exit from Chelsea remains guaranteed ahead of the summer transfer window. Contacts are due to start soon, with Nkunku attracting interest since January. It didn't work out in Nkunku or Chelsea, and I think Nkunku most likely be free Chelsea Football Club and then go elsewhere to go and get a job done. And I think that it's okay. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. And Christopher Nkunku pushes over a place where maybe it will work out for him. At Chelsea, he hasn't found it. He hasn't hit the ground run. As a second striker, I mean, when Chelsea have needed him, he hasn't stepped up to it at all. And I think that hasn't been good enough. Enzo Maresca, I say Enzo Fernandez, the most important player of Chelsea. He's one of our leaders. He's been very, very good. He can be better next season. Nothing to say about speculation. He's focused on us, and that is what Enzo Maresca can say, Charlie. I mean, Enzo Fernandez, he's not going anywhere. We're Chelsea through and through, and there's no way he's going to move out from the club. No, where a club Madrid for near the almost roaming around it now. It's not going to happen. And because a couple of days, Fabrizio Chelsea, Chelsea insist on their plan to keep Enzo Fernandez despite links to Real Madrid. No intention to sell. He's considered a key part of the long-term project and also leader in the dressing room. There's no way Chelsea sells Enzo Fernandez over there. Of course, next week Chelsea our big European final against Real Betis and Real Betis boy, and of course almost about draws our game. Spain if one decided to let them play early, Senegal they will give him some more time to prepare. And Chelsea new boy, our friend Kendry Pai Ekoye Oko saying the last words and goodbye to players now or Ecuadorian team no and over independent or Koroka say Charlie he's leaving the club with free on no Chelsea want to say his goodbye to everybody Ecuador Independiente on man a plaque said a goodbye to him and then of course he's flying back to England to come and start preparations, maybe for the Club World Cup. And what we are hearing is that Enzo Maresca being to Club World Cup, no, they are share some of the players, especially the new ones, and then make an assessment of them. Then he can understand exactly what he wants to do on and off the field of play, and then make a decision on these players, whether they are going to fully be with him, and as some of them that will go along. It's important. Enzo Maresca is frustrated at Chelsea's Champions League fate remains in the balance, claiming data proves the side already did enough to secure top five finish. According to him, they have done enough to secure top five finish, but still, as it stands now, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. Chelsea for now pushing in reports claiming in Saudi Arabia that Osimhen will join Al Hilal, and then the deal could be closed soon. That's what the Saudis are saying. Saudi for only they want a brand friend Victor Osimhen question. I think it's same for Chelsea. And Chelsea forward will manage it very, very well. A striker will be a primary target for Chelsea. The likes of Delap, Benjamin Sesko, and Hugo Ekitike are all on the list for Chelsea forward. Chelsea getting CEO. Failure to do so will be viewed as a disappointment rather than crisis inside of Stamford Bridge. But they have to get it done. They have to on the final day get it. Senegal BBA come area more because getting CL football very important. And now the João Pedro came up and I said that most likely João Pedro is coming to Chelsea here unless maybe a left winger, but that's not priority. I don't think Chelsea should focus on buying players on the left wing instead of getting somebody for centre forward first. That should be Chelsea's focus. João Pedro will be missing again to in Brighton's final match against Tottenham Hotspur following Brazilian's training ground altercation with teammates. Following Brazilian training ground altercation with teammate Jean-Paul Van Heckel. Their team are going to lose, as you said, a brand here from João Pedro, every free teamer, your friend FC Brighton. I say at this stage of the season, the pressure is on all clubs involved. It's also on Nottingham Forest, the pressure. If they don't feel the pressure, it's not something I'm worried about. I'm just thinking about winning the game. It's not normal to correct the schedule. People say you earn a lot of money. It's about health of the players and protecting them. I'm not thinking about next season. I'm thinking about the next two games. There is a chance of injury or being tired because of the schedule. Maresca on the tired schedule says no one cares about the player welfare with the schedule. If they are tired, if they won't play, we will manage that. It's not normal the amount of games that they play, team's mentality. So it's for me, sure, probably we have to analyze the difference when you play at home and then play at home. It's very, very important. Talking about the Chelsea team, and then the issues that's come with playing away from home and the signing man. Enzo Maresca saying on regimes he's okay. So on one training program and everybody's fine. And Estevao Willian Coco ball the final game also. Brazil won him. He was a super player, super player. Brand's friend Estevao Willian. And mind you, Estevao, about Chelsea this summer. That's why I keep on saying that maybe Chelsea don't really need a left winger like that. Maybe they don't. What they need is somebody that can really come in and get a job done. Guys, thank you very much for choosing me as on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. I will be back with you later in the day. There are some two more that I will bring here, and of course, I'm here much now. Will come some more. So then, take care. Bye.